So last year, Atonga Media collaborated with John Paul II Justice and Peace Center in taking films to some of the most marginalized refugee settlements in Uganda. Today on Upclose with Eva Nakato, we sit down with Achura E Fredrick, the director of two short films, No Border and Escape. These films talk about the life, the struggles, and the relationship between refugees and their host communities.
Silalaga kumutuju natara tadupen bo ibu ke nagati juli kalau mawara alobu bo iri silalaga kumutuju na ana tadupen walai
Tapi mama lo dawa deh. Lo gohot. My name is Eva Nakato. Thank you for tuning in. Let's get straight into this interview.
Achura is a gentleman who hails from northern Uganda, a place called Lira City, formerly Lira District. I hold bachelor's degree in business administration, and I'm also I double as a production manager at Atonga Media Stroke Foundation. Well, these films, there are two short films called No Border and Escape, which we worked upon with refugees which are at Imvepi Refugee Settlement in Terego District and Bidibidi Refugee Settlement, which is based in Yumbe District. No Border film is a short film which is based on the relationship between the refugees and the host community. So in the film, we take you through how they coexist with each other, and with Escape, we take you through a story of a girl who fled their home area in search for a better secure place as a result of gender-based violence and also forced marriage, which was impacting on her mental health.
Yeah. What was your role in both of them?
We had to train these refugees whom we identified. So the role that I played there was to help train them and prepare them, give them the fundamentals of storytelling. And I was the director of the two films, which we co-wrote with my father, Ian Thompson Steve, who produced it as well.
Why did you, the both of you and Steve, focus on the refugee settlements?
If you see the tagline of Atonga Media, he's lifting every voice. And given the background of where we hail from, which is northern Uganda, I was born during the time of war, during the LRA insurgency, and some of these challenges we actually witnessed it. We saw it happening with people who are internally displaced during that time. So we felt that why don't we get back to people of this nature, and we see how we can bring out that story, bring it to life, and as well, we let it be told by themselves because they're the ones who own the originality.
Yeah, so what about John Paul II, Justice and Peace Center? What was their role?
We had a collaboration with John Paul II Justice and Peace Center, where they helped us in mobilizing the refugees and also the host community. They helped us also in processing some of the few documents in order to enable us access these refugee settlements, have a meeting with the people who are within the community, see how best we could train them. And they also helped us in pushing for the paperwork. Take for example the acknowledgement by the actors who acted in these films, because they were all members of the refugee settlement, and some of them were also from the host community. So that's the role they play. Before we started this production, we initially wanted just to skill them. So when we met up with John Paul II Justice and Peace Center, and they made it possible for us in that they already had organized members within the community of these refugee settlements, of which all was left for us to meet them. And the main challenge that we faced with them was that they were all first-time actors. They didn't know about screenplay acting. And the other challenge that we had was that they were not used to new faces, because there's some kind of restriction there who accesses there for their security purpose. So in order to pull this off, we had to spend some weeks there with them. We get to know them better, and we get to their shoes. We reason with them. We share the same food that they're eating. We also eat the same food with them. And eventually they started opening up to us. And when we told them about need to tell their stories based on how we are interacting, and the research which we had already made with the Office of the Prime Minister in those respective refugee settlements, UNHCR, we came up with stories which were from different angles of the refugees. We pieced them together to make one solid story for these two films. And that's when we were like, we need to find a way of making this possible. So that's how it all started.
How long did it take you guys to shoot these two films? Because I believe it's not done in one day.
Exactly.
You know, earning their trust is not done in just one day. So how long did it take you guys to?
Just blending in alone took us like 3 weeks, of which we had to strip ourselves of whatever they believed that we were, in order to reason like the refugees or like the host members. In order, even you had to learn some bit of the language by then, so that when you meet them, you greet them, you interact, you be happy with them. So it took us 3 weeks to do that. And after 3 weeks, we had 1 week piecing the stories together. And the first film that we did was No Border, of which we did in 3 days. We did it in 3 days, and Escape, surprisingly, we did in 1 day. Well, it's so interesting that these were first-time actors appearing before the camera and before the crew. So what we did was we made sure these stories were from them. So when we spent the 1 week scripting these stories, and we went back to meet them, when we shared the scripts with them, each one would read and be like, yeah, this is exactly what I went through. This is exactly so and so went through. This is like, they would have a reference at least. So the only thing which was done was casting. And with casting, we had to make sure we get even some of the religious leaders. Like if you had to see No Border, you'd see a priest there. We had to get an actual priest whom they could relate with. So we got a priest and we did the casting. And once we did that, we just had a read-through for 2 days. And by the third day, they're all conversant, because we made it to be produced in the local language.
Can you talk about some of the challenges that they face as refugees and what can be done to help them?
Some of the challenges that we were able to notice, number one is that their relationship with the host community is not so well, in that most of sharing of resources is limited to them. They're alienated from some of this, water source. They don't share with the host community, things like schools. So what they did to solve some of this was that schools are built within the refugee settlement for the refugees. The teachers are got from within the settlement. However, it's still not enough, because they're still having a lot of challenges in that some of them actually even become depressed out of desperation, suicidal, and by the time we went there, they are registering at least 1 or 2 suicide case every month, and which was on a rampant. We learned that it was actually on a rise. So that's why in this film we also had to put in that aspect of suicide.
How have they been impacted after watching these films?
So what we're doing at the moment is that we are doing a community tour. We are screening these 2 films to them with the help of John Paul II Justice and Peace Center. We are moving from community to community within the refugee settlement, together with the religious leaders and the local leaders and some of the policymakers from the UNHCR and the Office of the Prime Minister, in order to pass out this message to the refugees and the host, to tell them that peace building is important. They should love to coexist with each other, because you know, it's not that was by choice for someone to become a refugee in a foreign land, but terms and conditions can force you to do certain things at times. So by coexisting, we learn to learn from each other, correlate, and we build up resources even the better. So at the moment we are doing screenings there.
So do you have any achievements you would like to talk about?
As Atonga Media and Atonga family, we are blessed to announce to you that our recent film Beautiful Ashes has been nominated Best East African Movie at the African Magic Viewers Choice Award 2022, and thank you. And as well, it was also selected to screen at Eco Film Festival, which is in London, and also recently concluded Mashariki Film Festival in Rwanda.
So do you have like recent projects that you can let the viewers know, or they can watch out for?
Yeah. At the moment, we're cooking something in the kitchen. There is an upcoming feature film called Amitam. And still with Amitam, the uniqueness is that we decided to use 90% of the cast as the local people in the community. We also gave them the opportunity to act, and it's going to be in Luo, Luganda, and English combined. So you should prepare for that. It's coming soon.
How would you want these films to impact us and the refugees themselves?
The policymakers, the filmmakers like me, the fellow filmmakers like me, and then the general public as a whole. So by watching this film, I believe that the policymakers will be intrigued in the decisions that we'll be making in the near future about the refugee settlements, and to the general audience, they would also get to understand the perspective of how a refugee's life is wherever they are, because these refugees, they represent other refugees all over the world. Most people, when they hear the word refugee, what comes to their mind number first is camp. But no, this is just like a settlement where they are relocated from their foreign land temporarily, so that when everything is resolved, be it a war, be it epidemic like cholera or something like that, be it maybe like family dispute or clan fight, when it's resolved, they can go back and they start their life as afresh. And when they get to understand some of these things, they'll learn that as a refugee, anyone can become a refugee at any time. No one knows what happens next. So it's just a matter of time. And as filmmakers, I believe by skilling these people how to act and then how to operate cameras, the basics, I believe that they too will step up to start telling their own stories to the general public and to the world at large, so that their stories are owned by them without anything being altered, without anything being changed. Well, how they want to be treated is by living in harmony. peaceful coexistence, sharing the resources which are available. Take for example like firewood, water supply, power supply, because in most cases they're restricted by the host community from getting access to some of the things, even medical supply at times, in that when you go to the host community outside the refugee settlement, maybe to look for like firewood, maybe to fetch water, sometimes they are attacked, the ladies are raped, and sometimes they're even beaten up. So with these stories, we believe they'll be enticed to live in harmony and also promote peace building. The advice I would give to young filmmakers out there is that the first thing that you should do is put God first. If you put God first and you discover your purpose in filmmaking, you have to pursue it, and you'll achieve it. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Achura E Fredrick from Atonga Media. We wish you all the best in the upcoming projects that you are working on. Thank you for allowing us to have this opportunity to have you on the Upclose with Eva Nakato.
The pleasure is mine.
We hope you loved this episode of Upclose with Eva Nakato. If you would like to watch No Border and Escape by Atonga Media, please tap on the links in the description box below. Do not forget to follow us on our social media handles, Upclose with Eva Nakato, Vice Versa Global, and of course Atonga Media. We are proudly sponsored by Vice Versa Global. Please like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Vice Versa Global. Wunabe.